Welcome to the video where we are going to compare your group coverage, the typical group coverage, to Medicare. This is for the scenario if you are 64, turning 65, you're needing to know, do I need to stay on my group coverage? Can I stay on my group coverage? Is it a good idea to stay on my group coverage? Or do I go to Medicare? So, tons of videos on this channel about the steps to Medicare, enroll in Medicare. My name's Alyssa. I pretty much do this 4 or 5 times a day, talking to people and going through their Medicare situation. I do have a full length video in the description if you want to check that out. So let's get right into it. I have some numbers that are very typical. As a matter of fact, these are numbers just pulled from this morning that are going to show a typical group plan. Now, this does not mean that your group plan looks like this. I urge you to check into what your health insurance actually is and what you're paying for it. You may not even know that. So that's a great start. Look what's coming out of your paycheck. How often is it coming out? Do you get paid? I'm sure you know how often you get paid in a month. So that premium is coming out. Now, the scenario, is it just employee? Is it employee plus spouse? Is it employee plus spouse plus children? These different scenarios can affect your decision to go into Medicare. The scenario of just employee only is very different from employee plus spouse, because if the employee is Medicare age or not, but the spouse is Medicare age, then it may make more sense just premium wise, what you're paying monthly, to take the spouse off, put them on insurance, and leave the employee still on. So I do talk to a lot of people who are going to continue to work, and that's fine. So I have you in mind. Now, what I'm going to pull up is a worksheet that I've kind of created. Sorry for the stick figures and all that, but it does the job. So follow along with me now. Okay, so when we look at enrolling into Medicare, this is our little start button here. This means you're 64, you're going thinking about getting into Medicare. Do you have group insurance? This is kind of important, because if you don't, you should enroll in Medicare. So, do you have group insurance through your employer? No, enroll in Medicare. The end. You have group insurance? Yes. Okay, let's continue. Is it credible? Meaning, is there at least 20 employees at said company? If there's not, follow the line and enroll in Medicare. If there is, let's move on. Now, what is the premium, the deductible, the max out of pocket, and do you contribute to an HSA? So this is all very important, because if you contribute to an HSA, I talked about this in the last video, you may want to delay Medicare, because that's a great benefit. If you believe in it, you're contributing to it, great tax break benefit, and can help you in your Medicare years. So if you're contributing to an HSA, my rule is, if you after this worksheet you are going to enroll in Medicare, you better stop contributing 6 months before your Medicare start date. If you're going to delay Medicare, then you must delay both parts of A and B. Do not be the one that thinks that they can enroll in A and delay B. That's not your case if you are on an HSA. Now, the other things, very, very quickly, a deductible is the first what needs to come out of your pocket. So it's going to be a number: 800, 900, 1200, 1500, 2000. And then the bigger amount is going to be a max out of pocket, which is the most you'll spend in a year. It'll be a bigger amount, $5,000, $7,000, $9,000 in some cases with some group coverage. So jumping back in here, what are those amounts on your plan? Gather those amounts now. Press pause. Go do it. Okay, so you've got those amounts. So my question to you is, with those amounts in mind, if Part A is 0 in Medicare, now we're going to compare it to Medicare. If Part A is 0, Part B is 174.70. And from here, you're going to need to pick either an Advantage plan or a supplement plan. So if the average Advantage plan is $0 to enroll in, you still have to pay your Part B in both scenarios. You must pay your Part B. If the average Advantage plan is $0 with a $0 deductible, and the average max out of pocket is around 6,000. This is if most PPOs, at least here in Texas, are around that amount. Does it make sense? Does it beat what you're currently on? Okay, and to the next scenario, if you're saying, hey, I don't want an advantage, perfect. So if the average Medicare supplement, in addition to your Part B premium, the monthly premium is 130, and then you have a $240 deductible. There is no max out of pocket. There's no co-pays, co-insurance, things like that. Does your group insurance beat a Medicare supplement? So we're going to go into in the next slide is going to be an actual example. So if it doesn't, then no, you need to enroll in Medicare. If it does, then this is where you would then entertain, okay, both scenarios puts me in a better place than my group insurance. Which scenario do I want to go in? And I check out the channel. There's tons of videos to say who are you? Are you the Medicare Advantage person? Are you Medicare Supplement? Let's go into the nuts and bolts of it. We can do that. And this is the HSA rule that I just went over. So let's continue. So now let's just say this is your coverage. This is an example of comparing it to Medicare. So this is typical coverage that I see. Employee only coverage is usually smaller amount, pretty manageable. Maybe it's a healthy person. They got to hit 1,500. They've never hit 1,500 while they've been working there, and their max out of pocket is around 4,900. In this particular scenario, this person may actually delay Medicare. Let's just say they're not contributing to an HSA. This person, employee only, I'd probably just delay Medicare. Now, if it's employee plus spouse, now we're talking some premiums here. And especially if this is per pay period, I mean, $360 a check coming out of your check, that can add up pretty quickly. So what would be, again, comparing this to is if you're paying $360 for employee plus spouse, and maybe we're talking about taking the spouse off of coverage, compare that to $174.70. And if you go with an Advantage plan, it's $0. So 360 versus 174.70. There is no deductible on an Advantage plan here. You got a deductible of 1,500. What wins there? Again, Medicare. And then a max out of pocket. Some companies, group insurance does indeed have a smaller max out of pocket, and it's a PPO. That's pretty nice when you have a small max out of pocket on a PPO. Now, on Medicare Advantage plans, I do tend to see them in the $49 to $58 to even $6,400. So who wins in that category? Just depending on your coverage, that's what you need to check out. So kind of summarizing what we've learned here is not all group coverage is created equal. So you're going to need to go into those records that you never check out, but now's the time to, okay? And actually see, because I talk to people daily that, hey, it makes more sense for you to stay where you're at. And when you want to delay Medicare, you can literally do nothing and it be okay until you're ready to enroll into Medicare in the future. You're 68. Now you're saying, let's enroll in some Medicare. They're going to ask, hey, did you have credible coverage? At that point, it's your job to say, yes, I'm going to an employer, sign this, send it back, no penalty. But you better make sure if you're going to delay that your coverage is credible. So these are all little things that I do with clients every single day. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear some people, maybe compare their group coverage and say, wow, I discovered this. Do that. I'd love to see some interaction. Keep in touch with the channel, like, share, comment. These are all things that the algorithm that's feeding you videos to look at. If you're close to being Medicare age, hang out with me. I promise all the information here is going to be useful when you turn 65, if you're delaying, even when you're going to enroll in Medicare later on. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.